The Florida Panthers are forced into multiple impossible decisions this offseason, coming off of their second straight Stanley Cup. They only have limited cap space, and they have to re-sign multiple key and star players to contract extensions, and it's looking more likely by the day that they are going to be losing at least 2, maybe 3 of these star players. We're going to break down what this means for the organization moving forward and who they will bring back. We're going to break it all down in this episode of Hattrick HQ. But before we do that, a quick reminder to hit that subscribe button. About 72% of you who watch these videos are not subscribed to the channel. So if you want to stay up to date with everything that's happening around the NHL, in hockey in general, and the Florida Panthers, or your favorite team, be sure to go down below, hit that free subscribe button, because this is the place to be for all your daily NHL content. But KC, let's dive right into it. Of course, everyone knows the Florida Panthers, back-to-back Stanley Cup champions. But they have some crazy decisions to make this offseason. There are multiple players that they're going to have to either re-sign or let go. And I think Aaron Ekblad, just to tease this, won't be a Florida Panther next year. I think it's looking less likely. We'll get into the specifics in a second, but we're going to start with Brad Marchand. And there is a lot going on around Brad Marchand because obviously he's a UFA. He was acquired at the deadline. I mean, I think he's somewhat less likely to return to the Florida Panthers unless, he wants to take significantly less than he can get on the open market. And at his age, I'm not sure you would want to do that. Maybe you want to maximize your earnings, right? We'll get into it. But from Chris Johnson, bidding for Brad Marchand could go north of $8 million. There's other reports saying that they're looking for $8.5 million, and they want endorsements included in the deal. So that could be enticing for certain teams. The Maple Leafs, of course, are in the mix. Pierre LeBrun saying that the Maple Leafs are expected to be a potential landing spot for Marchand. They're going to take a run at him. It could be, very enticing for him to come over to Toronto. He likes playing under the bright lights. He likes the spotlight and these big moments. If you take a look at what he did in this year's playoffs, he had 20 points in 23 playoff games. He was almost a point-a-game player in this year's playoffs at his age. He's 37. He's going to be 38. He wants a contract that's going to take him to 41 or 42 on 4 years. Casey, what are you seeing from this? Do you think it's a good idea to sign Brad Marchand if you're A, the Florida Panthers, B, a team on the open market for $8 million at this point?
Signing Brad Marchand is a good decision by any team because this guy is like magic in the playoffs, man. He just kicks into another gear and unlocks a new level of his game. Have you ever seen Brad Marchand do a windmill deke around a defender? No, we got to see that in the Stanley Cup final this year at 37 years old. And even people talk about age and how it affects players. You see Corey Perry, who was playing on the other side, he's 40 years old, still playing at a top level. I think Brad Marchand is kind of defying the age right now, kind of like a guy like Ovechkin. There's a lot of great older players that are still playing at elite levels, and Brad Marchand is one of them. I mean, yes, maybe in the regular season, his production does dip a little bit, but man, 20 points in 23 playoff games for a 37-year-old guy is amazing. And it's not just his point total. Obviously, this guy is probably the biggest pest in the league. He loves getting under people's skin, and that's what makes Brad Marchand is his ability to irritate the players on the opposite side of the ice than him. And I think he's a key asset for any team. If I'm the Florida Panthers, I think I have to keep this guy. I think I had to do everything in my power to get him back in Florida because you've seen how good he played with this team. I mean, they were like the rat factory down there this year. They had Bennett, Marchand, Tkachuk. I mean, there's 3 of the biggest pests in the entire league on one team. That's the reason this team was so good, so dominant. One of the best teams I think I've ever watched in the game of hockey. They
were one of the most dominant teams I can remember in recent history. And of course, I think Tampa Bay was pretty dominant in their runs as well. But man, they really took it to the Edmonton Oilers in the final in a way that I didn't think was going to happen. I thought it was going to be a lot closer. And Brad Marchand was a big part of that. Obviously, Sam Bennett throughout the whole playoffs was that guy as well. We'll touch on him in a bit as well. But Brad Marchand, I think, was honestly their MVP in a lot of moments in this playoff run, and he was only there for a short amount of time. I think if you're the Panthers, you got to sell him on You don't have to see the snow anymore. You know, you could just hang out in Florida all the time, come to the rink. Nobody really cares. I don't want to say nobody cares about the team, but there's less media attention, especially during the year. I know that it's growing because they've won these Stanley Cups, but it's not even close to teams like, or places where he's already played in Boston, right? And the pressure, so I feel like things would be different if you wanted to stay. So it could be very interesting. And again, a lot of teams are in the mix. All the contending teams, this is from Darren Dreger, are in the mix for Brad Marchand at this time. So take your pick. It could be a lot of them. I thought this was interesting too, that if it is Florida, I think it could be a $5 to $5.5 million. And again, this was a couple days ago, and new reports are coming out that if it is the open market, it's 8 to 8.5, which is absolutely insane. But like you mentioned, Casey, this is a guy, and I want to move on to Sam Bennett a little bit in a second, but this is a guy that, forget the point totals, because we can take a look at what he's done in the regular season as well, right? I mean, last season, nothing crazy. He had 51 points in 71 games. Like, it's not bad, but you want to spend $8 million on a 37-year-old on paper. Looking at this, I'm not sure that's a good idea. But when you look at what he did in the playoffs and what he brings to a team, this guy is a winner, whether you hate him, whether you love him, right? Whether you're a Bruins fan or literally any other fan, because everyone else hates him, right? But this is the type of guy you'd love to have on your team, and he would change any team's DNA. We bring it back to the Toronto Maple Leafs and them saying they need to change their team DNA. If you look at any team that could be interested in him, he would add to that team in a great way off the ice, not even on the ice. We know what he can do on the ice. But, he is a winner, a bona fide winner. So I think that, like you said, they got to do almost anything in their power to make this happen. He quite literally made history this year in the Stanley Cup final. He was I think that was maybe the best trade deadline trade of all time. And again, he is linked to the Maple Leafs, couple other teams as well, but the only noise I'm hearing in terms of teams being named are the Maple Leafs and the Panthers, which I think is very interesting. But let's touch on Sam Bennett as well. He had some comments about Brad Marchand, but what do you see from Sam Bennett? I mean, I think all signs are pointing to him re-signing in Florida at this point. It's probably going to be an 8x8 or something like that. Could he make more in the open market? Maybe, but if you're Sam Bennett, why would you leave that situation? It wouldn't make sense, right? But he had some great comments here about Brad Marchand, what he brought to the team. And obviously Sam Bennett, he set a record this year, most goals on the road in a playoffs. And, he had 15 goals. He won the Conn Smythe. This is a guy that can make a lot of money if you want it in the open market. But what do you think? Is he staying in Florida?
I think after the scenes at the Elbow Room the other night, it kind of seems like all signs are pointing to him re-signing, chanting 8 more years. It looked like he was having himself a great time, even if he remembers it or not. But I think Sam Bennett is a tremendous playoff guy like Brad Marchand. I mean, you can call him a dirty player if you want. I don't think he is. I just think he gets he loves getting physical and beating guys up, and that's just the type of player he is. He's a little bit undisciplined at times, just find himself in the box more than the average player. But like you said, this guy really had a breakout year in my eyes this year, especially in the playoffs, scoring. You had to score on the road to win championships, and scoring 15, I believe, of it was his 17 goals were on the road in this year's playoffs. So, I mean, you need to keep a guy like this around. It looks like he's enjoying his time in Florida. It makes sense for him to come back. What we're hearing is around an 8x8 deal, which maybe is a little bit of a stretch, but I definitely think it's worth it. I mean, he's proven to be one of the best players on this team, and I think I feel strongly about Sam Bennett in Florida. I think if you take Sam Bennett out of that situation in Florida, he is a completely different player, and I don't think he's worth $8 million. But he's worth $8 million in Florida because he thrives in that scenario where he can be that chippy player and that's just that team. They're gonna beat you up. They're physical, and that's the type of situation he thrives in. But if you say take him out of there, put him on a team like Toronto, which is also linked to him, I think he is a worse player because Toronto isn't that physical of a team. So I definitely think it's worth signing him back in Florida. I mean, after what he just did in the playoffs, you have to back up the Brinks truck for this guy. But it's going to be interesting to see what unfolds. I think he definitely needs to be in Florida for his next 8 years of his career to be as successful as they've already been so far.
I think you nailed it on the head. I mean, this is a guy who would be less effective, I think, outside of Florida, wherever he were to go. And could he make an extra $2 million? Yes, but then you might be miserable. You might miss the playoffs. Who knows, right? Like, you're not going to be as effective. So stay in Florida, I think, if you're Sam Bennett, and I think that's what he's feeling right now, unless, they're very far apart on a contract, which I just don't think they are. So it's going to be interesting. And the last thing I wanted to bring up here is the cap space that the Florida Panthers have. They have $19 million. So let's say Marchand wants $8 million and Sam Bennett gets $8 million. That's your entire remaining cap space, and you still have to re-sign guys. I mean, you're losing guys like Tommy Novak as well. Obviously, Aaron Ekblad. What's going to happen with Aaron Ekblad? Like, it looks like he's going to be leaving Florida as well because he's going to command maybe more than $8 million. So how are you going to make that work? I think there is a world they can keep all three, but Brad Marchand's going to have to take a significant pay cut. So it just depends if they all want to stick together. And by everything that they're saying, it sounds like that could be a possibility. But nonetheless, I feel like the Florida Panthers and Bill Zito have some impossible decisions to make this offseason. It's going to be crazy to watch. But let us know how you feel in the comments. Is Brad Marchand going to stay in Florida? Is he going to go somewhere else? How much is he going to sign for? Same with Sam Bennett. I feel like he probably stays in Florida for 8x8, something along those lines, maybe a little bit more. But we will see what happens. Let us know how you feel in the comments. And if you haven't yet, hit that subscribe button so you can stay up to date with everything going on in the NHL.